What is the common denominator of gutsiness in all these women? How did you each define it? How did you, what were there metrics you had to apply to whittle that giant list down to the 103 women in this book?
Well, some of the whittling down really had to also just be kind of the visceral reactions that we each had, kind of when we thought about not including them. Yeah. But for us, really, Lissa, gutsiness, is so evident in all of these women's lives because they were not only kind of driven by their own purpose and to lead their kind of own life that they felt called to do, but they were determined to make the world a better place. And sometimes the world was defined as their family or their school, their community, and sometimes really as our kind of global community. And so all of the characteristics that you mentioned, particularly persistence, which I feel kind of very keenly is one of kind of the core competencies for any life well lived, are just kind of embedded in the gutsiness that these women demonstrated and continue to demonstrate. Because changing the status quo wasn't just for themselves, it was kind of for everyone.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a key factor, because truly there are so many people, so many women we admire, but as we were narrowing the list down, we were looking for what it was about that woman's life, her work, her advocacy, her mission that affected others. Mm-hmm. And it became, once we started talking about it, a key ingredient, as Chelsea said. And I am someone who has been privileged to meet some of the women, as has Chelsea. And so when you meet someone like Dr. Hawa Abdi, this very modest-looking woman who stood up against al-Shabaab, the Islamist terrorist group in Somalia, when she had opened up her farm to shelter 90,000 people, predominantly women and children, who had sought refuge there, and they showed up and demanded that basically she turn it over to them, and she stood her ground and refused, and basically, confronted them by shaming them. What are you young men doing? Why are you even here? Why are you fighting? You meet her, and she's the most unimposing person, but the story of that confrontation and her continuing support for all of these women, now supported by her two of her daughters, who are also physicians, that just stuck with me. And I have so many stories, personal stories. I met Dr. Hawa Abdi through Vital Voices, which is a great organization that highlights women like her around the world. And part of what I wanted to do was to introduce our readers to more of these women, because everybody gets a little discouraged and a little down about whatever happens in your own life, or certainly whatever happens in our larger society. And I just want people to remember historic figures who were willing to take those risks and stand up and fight back and speak out, and women today, like Dr. Mona from Flint, who is the one who said, wait a minute, something's wrong with these children I take care of. I'm a pediatrician, there's something wrong. And she would not quit talking about it, even though people were trying to dismiss her. So that's the characteristic of just determination, persistence on behalf of others, not just on behalf of themselves.